Hello everybody and welcome to Megalo Tips and Tricks number 5 for Photoshop tutorials. Today we're going to go over actions, batching, and PDF presentations. Now the first two things that we're going to do, actions and batching, I think are useful to show. However, for my PDF presentation that I'm going to be making, I'm only using 7 images. So it would probably be easier to just do all of the editing on each of the 7 images separately, but I want to show batching and actions, so I'm just going to do it, which will actually make this process longer than it should take because I'm only using 7 images. However, if you were making a PDF presentation with 100 images or more, batching and actions would be very useful. Or let's say you wanted to change 100 images from RGB color space to CMYK color space, batching and actions would be really useful. So for the sake of this video, it's kind of the long way, but I want to show it because the skills can make other processes go much, much quicker. So we'll get started with how to record an action, how to use the batch tool, and then from there we'll do some final editing, and then I'll make the PDF presentation. So let's get into it. First thing you're going to do is come up here to Window and select Actions. Now, these are all the preset actions that Photoshop comes with, but we want to make our own that can be specific to exactly what we want to do. So for here, you go to New Action, and I'm going to make this PDF presentation horizontal. And you'll see why I did that in a second, but basically you just want to name it so that you know what this action is going to do to the image that you're working with. So we're going to hit record, and this part is critical. You have to be very methodical, and you have to go exactly step by step. Otherwise, it can make things kind of weird. So now that it's recording, every action we take will be recorded, and when we hit play on a new image, it'll go through and do exactly that for us. So the first thing I want to do to this one is change it to a layer 0. And you can see here that recorded set background. Great. The next thing I want to do, and this will take, normally I could do this in one step. For recording purposes, on actions, it'll take 3 or 4. So I go to Image, Image Size, and I want to make sure resample is unchecked and hit OK. I'll then go to Image, Image Size, and I'll change the resolution to 300. And I'll hit OK. I'll go to Image, Image Size. Now I'll change the width to 10. The reason I've changed it to 10 is because I know our final PDF presentation every image will be on a white background that is 11 by 8.5. So again, I'll hit OK. I'll go back to Image, Image Size. I'll check Resample, and I'll hit OK. I'll go back to Image, Image Size. I'll highlight this, and I'll type in 300 one more time. I'll say OK. Now, that that's all good, what I'm going to do is hit New Layer. I'm going to drag my layer down. I'm going to go back to Image, and I'm going to say Canvas Size this time. Now, this is where I'm going to say 11 by 8.5. Say OK. Got this image. I have my paint bucket selected, layer 1 selected, which is the current background, and I'm going to paint it in white. Now I've got a layer that I can move independently on a white background that's 8.5 by 11, and the width is always 10. I'm going to hit stop, and we're done. That's everything I want to do. Now, let's give it a test. So one way we can test this is we'll just go as far back as we can, all the way to the back to a brand new open image. We'll click on this, and we'll say play, and it runs it through. I'm exactly where I want to be. We'll go check our image size. The width is 11, which is great. 8.5, so that's our PDF presentation size. Resolution's 300. This is exactly how I want it. We're all good. Okay. Let's just double check really quickly that that this will work for another image. Go horizontal images, modern baseball, say open. All right, we have our PDF presentation, and we're gonna hit play. And now we're it again. This looks pretty good, but we'll double check. We've got two separate layers that I can move around. Say image size, 11, 8.5, 300. I didn't have to do any of that. Awesome. Now, I'm just gonna close that out really quick and say, don't save. I don't need to save, I've got that action set, I can redo it very quickly. With this one as well, we'll open up a new image. So open up a new image here. This time, I'm gonna go to my vertical images. And I'm gonna say cyan. Say okay. Here, would require a little bit of editing on all of these images first. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that editing, and then we'll make our video. Okay, so now that I'm here, I'm just gonna flatten this image. The reason why we need to make a vertical one is because since this is a square, if I just play this current PDF presentation horizontal, and I say play, it will go through, but the top's gonna get cut off. The reason why is because this is set to make the horizontal a 10 sized image, but because this is a square, that means the vertical size will also be 10. Since our vertical dimension for our PDF is only 8.5, we lose some stuff. So let's go back quite a few steps. We'll double check our image size here so that I've gone back far enough. Okay, that looks good to me. And we'll flatten this image again. Great. So now we need to record a vertical presentation. So we'll say new action, PDF, presentation, vertical, and record. We will do new layer, drag our layer down, say image size, and we want this to be 300. We say okay. Then we go image size. This time we want to resample our height and everything. We are going to change to 7. We're going to change to 7. That way our image fits within our 8.5 vertical dimension. Hit OK. Say image size, check resample, OK. Image size, and we'll make our resolution 300 again. OK. Last step, image, canvas size, 11 by 8.5, OK. And then finally paint bucket and color in layer 1. And from there, we're done. So we can hit stop. Now, if I open up my next image, file, open, and we'll pick our next one, which would be magenta. We'll say okay. Now, I did some pre-editing on that first one. So let's see what happens if I just run this. Okay, it doesn't quite look very right because I had already deleted that background before the time I started recording my batch. I could just come here and change everything around and move stuff around and do it from here. Probably wouldn't look as good because I'd be stretching to get that size. So I'm gonna go through and edit my other 3 images, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about how to do the batching. Okay, so we'll try again. PDF, presentation, vertical. Now the reason I like doing this is because if we click over here and we set both of our magnifying to 25, it's gonna look like those shirts are in the exact same spot. That might not matter to some of you, but I think it looks really good, and so I take the time to make sure these things happen when I make my PDF presentations. So I'm gonna get everything else set up with all my other files, speed through that really quick, and then we'll go through and I will show you how the batching works. Now that I've got everything set up for the batching process, I've got this open file here. You can see all my stuff for my MFA project, and nothing's open yet. It's just all of the possible files, or some of the possible files that I could open. So we can go up here to File, say Automate, and come over here to Batch. Now we're gonna say, you can see here in Action, our new recorded ones are saved. I'm gonna say Horizontal. Source is gonna be a folder. You could have this as the open files, but I'm gonna do this as a folder. Say Choose, and this is why I've separated them into separate folders, because it will have you choose the entire folder. So I will say Choose. So that's going to be my horizontal images, destination, none. You could have this do save and close or to a new folder. I'm just going to say none and say OK. So this is now going through all of my images, and if I take my magnifying glass, if I change all of these to 25%, just so that we can see what's going on, and I have it 25%, these are all recorded and in the center. Now, because I've separated them into two different layers, if I don't want them centered, I can move them up. I tend to like a little more weight on the bottom, but I can do that now. You could automate that in, although if your images are very different sizes like mine, automating that step might not be the most beneficial. Now, it's only 3 images that I did that for, but you can see that it took all of these weirdly sized, different resolution images, and it made them all 8.5 by 11, 300 resolution with the horizontal image at 10 inches. So if I save this now, which I probably will because it is useful, whenever I want to make a presentation, I can just put all of my horizontal images into one folder, and I can just click go, and I don't have to do that step ever again if I don't want to. So now, if we go to File, Automate, Batch, we want to change our action to PDF Presentation Vertical this time. We will choose where this comes. I've selected this copy, and I have all of my vertical images in this folder. I'll say Choose, and I'll say OK, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so now again, if we just click on down here where our magnifying percentage is, and we change all of these to 25, not only are they all going to end up being in the same spot on our page, but more importantly, if we click, this is going to look like we've just got all of our images lined up right where we want them to be, and they're going to look really good. So for 7 images, that was probably a lot of work for what I did. I probably could have done it just as quickly, doing them each by hand. But again, now I've got these 2 actions saved, so the next time I make a PDF presentation, I can just run these. And if that PDF presentation has 50 images in it, and I want it to look something like this, it's going to be so much easier for me to accomplish that. So thanks for bearing with me while I got through there. Now, I'm going to order all these things into the images that I want, my first installation, and then I'm going to put my last installation at the end, and I'm going to order these shirts in an order that is CMYK. So these are all good. Okay, so to make our PDF presentation, we come up to File, we go to Automate again, and we go to PDF Presentation. So from here, say Add Open Files. This clearly hasn't worked, so what you'll have to do is reorder them again. I want Mom's Spoons first, followed by Modern Baseball, followed by Cyan, Magenta, Yellow, Black, and the installation shot of my exhibition, what I've curated for my father for his exhibition. You'd have to read my thesis to understand all of that. Shirts that smell like yellow. Now we can say if it's a multi-page document or a presentation. I'm going to do a multi-page document. What your background will be, font sizes, all the different things. You can have file names, whatever you want in there. You can include or exclude as much as you want. I'm going to say save. The next thing that will pop up is this window to let us see where we want to go. So you can save this wherever. We'll do Megalo, Photoshop 5, and we'll just say here, and we'll say my MFA documentation. Now here we have a couple of options. High quality print, if you were going to print this out, you would definitely want to save it as that. However, if your goal is to send this through on an email, you want smallest file size. Try imagining sending 300 dpi images, which they don't need to be 300 dpi images if they'll only ever be seen on a screen, which is why you're sending them through as an email attachment. Try sending 7 300 dpi images in one PDF presentation through an email. It ain't going to work. You're going to need to use something like Gmail or something like that. So you go to smallest file size, and if all you ever need this is a PDF presentation on a screen, this will be good enough. Compression, we can go down to here. This is all going to look fine. Image quality, however, we're going to bump up to maximum. That 16-bit channel to 18-bit channel, that will be good. Any of our downsampling, all that's fine. We can leave it all as we want. Just go through here. We could, convert different colors. I'm not going to worry about it because this is only ever going to be viewed on a screen. Summary, you can go through all of that. Now we're going to hit Save PDF. Through the magic of Blender editing, I made that seem like it went really fast. That took quite a while on my computer, so if it takes a minute, just let your computer do its thing. It'll be fine. It'll load up eventually. So let's just go and see. If we open up a Finder window, we go to Documents, Megalo, Photoshop 5, MFA PDF presentation. You can look down here. This is only a 2.5 megabyte file. That'll definitely fit into a email. That's the biggest one I've ever seen, probably because I selected maximum. High would probably have been fine. And usually these can be as low as a couple kilobytes. But you can see if you sent this through, you got high enough quality images that will look professional when you apply for shows at Megalo or wherever, graduate school, or however you want to do this. The one thing I did forget to include that you can do on Photoshop before you make your presentation, you can play around with where the image is located on this 8.5 by 11 sheet. The other thing you can do, which I should have done, is you can add text. So this could be shirts that smell like yellow, installation shot, date of the exhibition, the gallery, you name it. You could put it in before you do this, and then that will all be included in your PDF presentation. Same for any of these: cyan, number 4, the artist name, year, title, dimension, medium, whatever you want. And then these can all be sent off. And I guarantee that if you send something that looks like this through on a presentation to Megalo, your documentation will serve you well, as your application will stand out. Hopefully this was useful, and that these little tricks, while they might have seemed a little bit overkill for the 7 images I put together, thanks for bearing with me, and I hope you can use them in the future. And that we'll, see you around when we can all get back into Megalo. Stay safe.